Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. But before we do jump into today's first story, I just want to let you know that I have seen your comments about the auto dubbing over on YouTube. That's now been turned off by default. Didn't even realize it was on, the bloody cheeky so-and-sos. So hopefully that's cleared up for you as well. Any other issues, please get in contact. I'll sort it out from there. But our first story is from Such Designer 5185 from the Am I the Arsehole Here subreddit. And it says, Am I the Arsehole Here for refusing to speak to my friend and end our 15+ year long friendship after she took my purse, used my money, and lost it. So I, 21 female, am just about to leave from a vacation with a friend, also 21 female. And I'm honestly still sick over what happened. A few days ago, she took my expensive Zadig and Voltaire purse. Apologies about the pronunciation, first time I've ever heard of that, without asking. This purse was a Christmas gift from my sister and has huge sentimental value. I spent the past few years taking really good care of it because it means so much to me. When she took it, she didn't even tell me. I only found out after the fact that she used it to go to the laundromat and in the process used my money, which she also didn't ask to take. For context, the purse had $40 in cash and a bunch of quarters, a gift from my sister's best friend's mum, 60 euros in notes and at least 20 euros in coins. So we're talking over 100 euros total, not to mention the purse itself. And now the purse is gone. She lost it. I was obviously upset, not yelling or blaming her, just crying and saying I wasn't mad, just hurt. I told her how much that purse meant to me and how hard I've worked to keep it safe for years. Instead of apologizing, she got huffy with me, rolled her eyes and said, "How much does it cost? I'll just replace it," in this angry, dismissive tone. She has a very defensive and confrontational nature that makes me feel bullied and small, so I find it hard to stand up to her. But it's not just about the money, it's about trust, about respect, and about losing something deeply personal to me. Since then, she hasn't apologized at all. In fact, she's acting annoyed that I'm upset. Now we're on the last night of our trip, and I've decided to just be neutral and quiet for the journey home. But once we're back, I plan to stop speaking to her entirely. I feel like she violated my boundaries and disrespected my belongings and is now making me feel like I'm too sensitive for being hurt. But some mutual friends are already making me feel like I'm being dramatic and should let it go because it's just a bag. So, am I the arsehole for cutting her off and refusing to speak to her after this? Look, there's a whole bunch of red flags in this one situation, but the fact that OP, which this really jumped out to me, OP feels bullied and small around her, just screamed to me that, this isn't the only issue they've had in this friendship. I'd bet money that there was years of, crossing OP's boundaries, making her feel bullied and small. People don't usually feel intimidated by unless there's a pattern of this kind of behavior. And simply, this isn't a friend. This person took from you, they stole from you, lost your bag, and they don't give a shit either. Absolutely, just chuck the whole person away. And I wonder what your friends have been hearing, because if I heard this story, I'd be like, yeah, that person's taking the piss. I wonder if this friend has already got to the others and said something completely different for them to be on her side. Oh, she's overreacting like she always does, or something along those lines. I mean, I struggle to think of a way she could twist it to be against you, but there's the possibility is there, right? But if that's not the case, then they're just arseholes too. Commenter says she's not a friend. She also needs to pay you back for the purse. She stole it actually, so she's a thief. So your choice on how to handle that going forward, not the arsehole. OP replied saying she agrees to reimburse me, which I accepted, but I haven't spoken with her further about it as I've been too upset to look up the cost of the purse. Also, I haven't told her about the amount that was in the purse. I plan to do so in 2 days' time, where I will post the update after I discuss with her my true feelings about this. Commenter says this girl is either one of these people with zero conscience or this OP is lying. Difficult to determine these days. Reddit is a place of honesty and big liars. OP says zero conscience. She was raised the only child in a very wealthy family and does not understand sentiment and thinks throwing money at the issue makes everything better. Opie then replies to many people telling her to check her friend's luggage, and then says she checked the laundromat this morning to check the lost and found and there was no sign of it. I'm going to check her luggage when we land based off of good advice here. I'm a bit scared to accuse her of theft as she's quite an aggressive person. Commodore says to OP, now you mention it has sentimental value, as it came from your sister. Is your sister passed? Can you not just rebuy the same model? Like, I get it was a nice gift, but it's just a purse. Unless the purse was custom or unique in some way, or your sister passed, I think you're being overly sensitive. Opie says it does have sentimental value. I come from a large rural family in Ireland. We do not have a lot of money. My older sister moved away, and for Christmas one year, when I had not received any gifts for Christmas due to a financial rough spot, she bought me that bag as I turned 18 that year. She is a glamorous, successful woman in her 30s, and it meant a lot to me to have something of such quality. It was my first time owning anything like that. She doesn't have to be dead for it to be sentimental. And Opie then clarifies, saying, I understand where you're coming from and thank you for clarifying. From my perspective, the sentimental value was not that it was rare or a customized bag. It was a gorgeous purse given to me in a time of need. It was always a dream purse of mine, and seeing that I got nothing else for that Christmas bar, some chocolates and skincare along with my first real purse as an adult, from someone I love very much, it held great sentimental value. However, I do understand and see where you're coming from. I appreciate your grounded and level-headed point of view. Thanks. Commodore says, stop being a doormat and people won't treat you like one. Clearly you're not overreacting and you know that. You just want an army of people online coddling you while you let her keep treating you like a pushover. Opie says, I'm on a different continent with two girls who have been gaslighting me, saying it's not a big deal. They are both wealthy and their parents fund their lifestyle, whereas I do not. It's difficult to call my parents for advice due to constant proximity to the girls, and I felt I was going crazy, so I took it to this sub for advice. Not looking for coddling, believe me. If I didn't feel the need to take to this sub, I would have avoided it. Thank you. But OP does come in with an update and says, so I have an update. Thank you to everyone who gave advice or shared support. It really helped me more than you know. On the flight home, she asked me to mind her passport in my bag, even though she had her own backpack. I agreed just to keep the peace because I didn't want to deal with any attitude or fighting. When we landed, she turned to me and asked, do you have my passport? In this snappy tone. I was still hurt and wanted to get one last jab in, so I said, using the exact words she said to me all week about my missing purse. I was checking my bag the whole time to make sure your passport was there. Maybe it'll show up when we get off the plane. I regretted saying it immediately. She snapped in front of other passengers, finally acknowledging that I'd been upset about the purse, but in the most cruel and dismissive way. She said, well, at least I didn't throw a hissy fit bawling crying for hours over a purse. That was the last straw. She acknowledged my obvious upset, yet still would not apologize. Once we got our bags at the airport, I told her I wanted to check her suitcase for my purse. I said if she refused, I'd involve the police. She tried to say I was violating her privacy, which is hilarious, considering she took my purse and went through my belongings. I told her if it wasn't there, she had nothing to be worried about. I also made it clear I wasn't going to touch any of her stuff, that I wasn't interested in taking others' belongings without permission, just checking for what was mine. She was absolutely fuming, face red, shaking, visibly furious. Then she shoved her bag at me and told me to go ahead. I opened a zip compartment. Inside was a black trash bag. Inside that was a red Target bag. Inside that, drum roll, my purse. All of the money was still inside, the cash, the euro coins, but no quarters. I was honestly so shocked I couldn't even ask why she had it or what her plan was. I just said thanks and walked away with my stuff. I got on the bus home and I haven't spoken to her since. I wish I hadn't been so emotionally drained to have given her a piece of my mind. She's since blocked me with no apology or explanation. As a side note, her mum, who doesn't know we're not speaking, called me at 3 a.m. crying. She was saying how badly she feels treated by her daughter and her husband, how she's constantly belittled. I won't get into any of what had just happened, but it definitely gave me more perspective. This girl is a cruel and horrendous person with little to no empathy. I think maybe a sociopath. Anyway, I got my purse back, but the whole thing left a really bad taste in my mouth. I still don't fully understand what she was trying to do, and honestly, I don't think I want to. I'm just relieved it's over. What do you guys think she was aiming to do with the purse? Very little of my money inside was used. So strange. Thanks again. Edits, I didn't realize this would gain such traction so quickly. Thank you to everybody. Also, she chronically watches the Smosh YouTube channel where they review Reddit stories like Am I the Arsehole, etc. I believe. I'm just laughing thinking about if this came up. I feel like she's so self-absorbed she would not clock that as about her. Nonetheless, I created this Reddit account to specifically post this, so it can't be traced back to me. I mean, why would you be bothered anyway? Like you said, absolute awful person. And a commenter said something that I was thinking, why haven't you told your friends and her mum about what happened? It's like you want her to rewrite the story to make you the villain, which will absolutely happen. We've seen it time and time again. They turn to social media and say, oh, such and such did this, and then it makes you the bad guy. Opie replied saying, my friends are aware, and my entire family. They told me they're disgraced by her behavior and to cut off contact with her. The friends on vacation, however, whether they sided with her or were actually too afraid to side with me, I'm not sure. I haven't reached out to them, and from advice from the previous post, I'm not continuing my friendships with them. I can't be friends with someone who's too weak to stand up for me. Her mother was drink driving and in a bad spot, so I felt it was not the right time to bring up the situation, and she was very upset. On the mum, Opie says yes, drink driving was a dire situation, and I'm in the midst of trying to get her professional help without the rest of her family knowing. Sticky situation, they will come at her for coming to me. Commenter says, I pity her poor mum so much. Opie says, it's actually heartbreaking. The thing she was telling me about her daughter last night echoed her behavior towards me on that vacation. Commenter says, you should block her and tell her mum what she did. Opie says, I plan to. When her mother is in a better place. I can't imagine someone telling her that her daughter is an actual piece of shit would make her feel better at this time. She has a host of mental health issues and I have to tread lightly. OP on the stealing and says, but if she was trying to steal it, why not fight a bit harder to not let me look through her suitcase? I've seen her be more stubborn. Although there was an audience of other passengers and my friends from the vacation, it's hard to tell what her motives were. Commenter says, this is such a bizarre story. I'm not implying it didn't happen, not at all. She took the bag but didn't use the money inside, except quarters. She didn't dump it either. I wonder if she has a collection of trophies that she has stolen. Her mum seems to be aware that her daughter has different behavior than most of the others. It sounds like other friends may be scared of her. So that's the mum and possibly friends that are unnerved by her. I can imagine that rage. The rage that she knows you'll find the purse and she won't get away with it. Good for you for sticking up for yourself. I would distance yourself away, far away from her. The link wouldn't work for me. That friend is not a friend to you to cause you all this stress when you're on holiday, trying to enjoy yourself. I don't have any psychological training, just the University of Life, but she doesn't sound right to me. Opie says, that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to wrap my head around it all. My family and friends are just as confused as to what her objective was. My dad just put it down to, in his very old country Irish father way, see you next Tuesdays are everywhere. Don't think about it anymore. Just don't give her the time of day ever again. Thank you for your words. Wise words there. Wise words. Commenter says, what a smart way of handling it. If she would have left the airport, you would have never seen it again. Did you hold her passport hostage to get her to give you her bag? I'm surprised she didn't try to walk out of the airport or something. Were police close by or anything? And the final comment from OP that says thank you. I gave her the passport directly after she had a go at me on the plane when we landed. We're at the bag drop off in the arrivals terminal, and she helped everyone else get their bags off the belt except me, even though she knows I was struggling with the bag weight the entire trip due to my bad back. Had surgery on it early June. I have endometriosis lesions all over the ligaments attached to my back, so I took that as a big fuck you. So I was raging and demanded that I check her luggage, where she kicked up a fuss saying, why should I go through her luggage as it was a violation of her privacy? Lol. And I reasoned with her. I'll report her for theft if she has nothing to hide. She'll be okay, etc. Until she broke down and let me. At this stage, our interaction gained the attention of our friends and nearby passengers, so she was embarrassed and let me win and check her luggage. I was just left at the end of that. What was her reasons in the end. As always, I'm no medical professional, obviously, or anything like that, but it did scream there were some issues going on, right? And again, no excuses for the behavior, but that is certainly not someone I would want in my life. Absolute wild. What do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and let's move on to another story. So our next story comes from the wedding shaming subreddit. Oh, dearie me. It's from Jinx Mama, who says, "Help. The mums of the bride and groom are CCing me on their war over the invitations. I run a small graphic design business. Weddings are easily my best paying gigs, and also the ones that make me question my life choices. About 70% of couples are totally fine, and then there is the 30% that makes me want to give it all up and become a greeter at Walmart. Today's situation is shaping up to be one of those. This morning I got an email from Lisa, bride's mum, fake name, don't come at me. She had seen my work from another wedding and asked about packages, dates, etc. I sent her my intro email and standard questionnaire, which covers things like what they need, their aesthetic, and names of the wedding party, etc. I do not give quotes until I get that back. Not even an hour later, I get another email from someone else asking about the exact same date. Same process. I sent my intro email and the questionnaire. I went out for a walk, came back, and my inbox had turned into a dumpster fire. It seemed both Lisa and Betty, the groom's mum, are trying to hire me for the same wedding. That's fine, but they both have strong opinions about what is supposed to happen, and instead of privately hashing this out, they decided to copy me on their argument. Oh, spicy. The questionnaire asks for correct spellings of the wedding party's name. This somehow spiraled into an all-out war about whose name should go first on the invitation. Groom's mum says since they are paying for more, the groom's name should be first. Bride's mum is horrified because tradition. For the record, I never asked who goes first. I just follow the traditional format unless it's a same-sex union, where I ask. But now both mums are mad at me because they demand I settle the argument. I politely suggested maybe they leave me out of it. This is just the invitations. Good grief. I can't imagine how stressful the rest of the wedding is going to be. Commenter says to OP, if they can't figure it out without involving you, then you should fire them. Imagine the rounds of back and forth and changes you're going to get from this. Hours of these shenanigans await you with this group, and they'll hassle you about the revision costs. OP says, I already decided to fire them. It's not worth the headache. I'm just floored that this, of all things, is the hill that they are willing to die on. The argument is still going, and I'm still CC'd in the email, even though I sent them both my standard thank you but no thank you letter. I feel bad for the bride and groom. Commenter says, it's so weird that a happy couple hasn't contacted you themselves. Are they aware that mums are planning a wedding? OP says, honestly, it's not as weird as you might think. This is not the first, nor do I think it'd be the last time someone besides the bride has contacted me. I had a granny hire me once, and she was hysterically funny to work with. Commenter says, also here for the granny story. OP says, she was in her 80s, and she knew all the family tea and enjoyed sharing said tea. She and the bride were extremely close, and it was the perfect example of how these third-party orders can go and should go. Ended up doing multiple jobs for her before she passed, including a couple more weddings. Commenter says, so if you mailed them individually and separately, how did they both end up on the same mail chain with you to see them bicker? OP says one of the mums emailed the other to tell her she had hired me, which she hadn't, she had just requested a quote. Mum 2 had already emailed me and had the same info as Mum 1. Guess they decided to answer the questionnaire together, and then chaos ensued. I wasn't CC'd until multiple replies deep and immediately thought, yeah, this one is going to be a nightmare. Honestly, I read the first 2 lines of that email and decided it wasn't worth the headache. I find it hysterical that these grown-ass adult women had nothing better to do on a Monday morning than argue about name placement on an invitation. But I'm all for the entertainment, so I made sure to share the insanity here. OP adds another post saying the saga continues. Kind of. Yesterday afternoon, I sent out my standard, sorry, I won't be able to work with you on this project, email to both mums, since I work in a pretty niche area. The email basically said, due to scheduling issues, I can't take on your wedding, but here are some vendors who might be able to help. Now, I keep two versions of that vendor list. One is the A list of people I personally know the quality of their work and would vouch for their professionalism and creativity. The other is more of a good luck, Godspeed list with places like Vistaprint and Etsy. I'll let you guess which one they got. After sending, I wrote a quick Outlook rule to shuttle their emails into a folder, then moved on with my day. Okay, I also shared the story with you guys, but then I really did go back to work. Fast forward this morning, I'm drinking my coffee, scrolling through your comments, and I decided a peek at the folder. 17 new emails! 17! And because I'm nosy, of course I read them, and here are a few gems. Groom's mum says, "You don't understand how this works. I pay, I get what I want." Bride's mum says, "But it's tradition." She wrote this 9 times. Groom's mum says, "Nobody knows your name, they know ours." I don't know them either, but sure, okay. Bride's mum says, "Where is this girl? She should be answering our questions." For the record, this girl is a 58-year-old professional who owns a business. Thanks for the respect. Opie continues, "There was also some very creative name calling that I won't repeat here." Before anyone asks, I won't be responding to that email chain. Confidentially as a part of what I promised to clients, but that only starts after a signed contract. If you act the fool before that, well, the internet gets the story. At this point, I just hope the couple cuts the cords, grabs a ladder, and elopes. I don't know either of these families personally, so this is probably where my updates end. Commenter says, "I'm in an adjacent business, almost all business to business. I do stuff for non-business functions once in a while, but have a hard no on weddings because I don't want to question my life choices." Opie replied saying, "I feel you. Every time I say this is my last wedding, I have a great experience and then my dumb ass does it again." But some of my corporate clients are just as crazy. I had a well-regarded law firm in our area that was rebranding and I did their new package. Up until the day we went to press, they were still making tiny, insignificant revisions that cost them money because they were outside the scope of the contract. There was a dot in the logo that went through 6 revisions and they finally decided on the original version. But they didn't dispute the bill, so there's that. Opie's got themselves in that situation that's just like the perfect fly on the wall scenario. Already told them that, I'm not a part of this anymore, but they're still emailing, so Opie gets to see all the tea going on in the background. And what about Grandma spilling the tea as well? Loads of gossip coming from all angles. I would have loved to hear more about her. She sounded like an absolute great time. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? How would you deal with it if it was you? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, sharing your love towards me, towards Poppy, of course, and towards one another down in the comments. It really does mean the world. Thank you so much, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care, and much love.